Hey guys, welcome to another video from the Parrott Bros. Now today we're going to be doing a video all about warning lights and markers that you should know about and what to do in the event of one of those coming on. And also we will cover quite a bit of detail about that red oil light, also known as red light of doom, also known as the oil pressure warning light. Now this fault is known more to happen on the 1.8 turbo. I don't actually know, or I haven't heard of it on the 3.2, but there is always a possibility. Now, the main one that we'll discuss most today, and we'll go back into the office in a minute and I'll go through some of the more technical details. But basically, in that middle screen, where usually it's really pixelated, which is kind of half the reason why you get it repaired, there is some warning lights. Now, there's 3 warning lights that come up red, the rest are yellow. Yellows are more advisory, things like your washer fluid's low, the door's open, that kind of stuff. The red lights are the more important ones, which should you ever see one, you are advised, and it's advised in the manual, to turn your engine off because you want to prevent further damage. Now, it could just be precautionary as a warning, or it could be actually doing some damage to your engine. So very important to turn it off straight away as soon as possible. Obviously, don't be driving down the motorway, beep, 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 zhoop, turn it off. Now, the red oil can light is for low oil pressure. Whether that is because you actually have low oil pressure or because like a sensor's failed or similar is less likely, but you never know. Now, you can't take that risk. I've seen it where in the past it has just been a sensor. It has been because they've put the wrong oil in the car. There is a multitude of things, but if it is low oil pressure, there is a very strong chance that you will ruin your engine. Now, I'm not trying to scare anyone. I'm naturally just providing you information to help you maybe in the future. If I save one engine, then this video is worthwhile. Now, this red oil can light, it will come up in the middle of your display and you will hear this noise. Should you hear that noise, you want to, at the safest option, pull off of the road and turn the car off. You don't want to, you're 5 miles from home, drive it home, because the damage could already be done. If you have low oil pressure, you're starving your engine of oil. If you starve your engine of oil, it will naturally break. So that is what you want to try and do where possible. Of course, like I said, if you're on the motorway, the safest place to pull over. It's one of these things. I see it a lot, I hear it a lot. Oh, engine sounds fine, or whatever, or it only comes on at certain times. Now, oil pressure varies. There is a way of testing your oil pressure. It's not that hard. All you need is a tool. The tool I found on eBay for 20 to 30 pounds. So if you want something to add to your arsenal, that is the one to get. And you can test your oil pressure. You just simply remove the oil pressure switch, put this in, turn the car over, and it will tell you what your oil pressure is. Now, I can put a link down in the description, and this link is absolutely phenomenal because it has every step of what you need to be doing to check your oil pressure, what to change, what to test, what the results should be, and all of that kind of stuff. So very, 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 very good description. If you ever want to read it, take a couple of hours and have a look because it's definitely worthwhile. Yes, I said hours. It is quite in depth. But should you ever have that fault, it is the best thing you'll ever find. Now, it goes through all the different options. Now, the main things are going to be likely, and I talk about this a lot. If you've watched any of my videos, you'll know I talk about this all the time, is the pickup pipe. Now, this is a pipe with a spout with a gauze on the end, and that sucks the oil up from your sump. It goes through like a strainer. If you've ever done tea leaves and you put tea leaves in one of those little wicker metal baskets, that's what it looks like. So it sucks oil through that tube, and then it goes through the oil pump, which then provides the engine with oil. Now, the strainer often gets blocked. It could get blocked with crap in the oil. It could get blocked with your degrading PCV pipes, the little rubber bits that come off the inside. It could be broken dipstick tubes. It could be metal filings. It could be anything. If you've left your oil too long, they could get little lumps of crap in it. There is 100 reasons what it could be, but if it's blocking the strainer, that is a problem. Now, I would recommend, if there is no documentation that your strainer has ever been replaced, get it replaced when you do your next service. Whether it's replaced or cleaned, is entirely up to you. If you can clean it thoroughly and make sure that it's got a good flow, then by all means do it. If not, just buy a new one. I think a genuine one is about 20 or 30 pounds. You need the gasket. And you can just swap it over. An oil pump is a few £100, so if you can prevent your oil pump failing because of reduced flow or whatever the reason, or killing your engine for 30 or 40 pounds whilst getting a service, you also need some sump sealer because you're going to have to take your sump off to do it, but it is well worthwhile. Now, if your car has had it done and you're doing regular servicing, I wouldn't worry too much. But like I said, if you've got no record of having it done ever, then it's definitely worth doing at your next service. I'm going to be doing it on the Roadster because I've looked and there is no documentation that it's been done in the past, and just for preventative maintenance I am going to be swapping it out. It's one of those. It is one of those. I'd rather do it and not need to do it than not do it at all. For what it costs, I would say it is well worthwhile. So that's a strainer. It stops it getting blocked. Other faults that you, like I said, you might find is this a failed sensor. Now the sensor is set to come on between 1.2 and 1.6 bar. So when it goes down as low as that, it will trigger the sensor to come on and say, well, hold on a minute, low oil pressure, right? Just to give you an idea, it should be, when you're on, say, 2,000 RPM upwards, you should be in excess of 40 or 50 PSI, which works out, what, 10, 20, 30, 40, 48, 12, 16, 3 to 4 bar. So quite a difference. So if you can imagine your engine's supposed to be seeing 3 or 4 bar of oil pressure and it's only got 1 or 1.5, then of course there's a problem. So that could be another one. Or weights of oil. If your oil's too thin, too thick, if it's too thick and it can't pump it round at a strong enough pressure, again, is going to cause an issue. Now, I'm going to just enjoy driving on the hottest day of the year, and we'll transfer to the office where I'll give you a little bit more tech spec. Okay, so there is some real importance to having that center screen not pixelated. Now, of course, it's nice to see how many miles you've got till empty, the temperature outside, and if you've got an auto, of course, it's good to know whether it's in drive, park, reverse, or you can just look down to see that. But so it does help if you have that little display in the middle not pixelated. Now, of course, even if it's pixelated, if it pops up and it beeps and it's red, it says in the guide that comes with your car, if you've still got that book, if you're lucky to, it says, if one of the red symbols lights up whilst driving, stop the car, switch off the engine and refer to the owner's manual. Now, realistically, the manual isn't going to tell you whether it's okay or not, but it just probably tells you to seek advice from Audi. Now, there's 3 red lights that could pop up. There is a fault in the brake system, which, I mean, you can check, but you may be losing fluid, you may have a pressure issue, there could be a number of failures, but again, brakes, very important. There's the engine oil low pressure, and there is also one for coolant temperature too high, or the levels too low. Now, the level, it could just nip below and then you'll get a red light. You can just have a quick look, top it up, keep an eye on it, but it is important. Those are the 3 things. I mean, the most I see is the low pressure oil one, and that's why I wanted to do sort of kind of a whole video about it, but I thought I'd cover the other bits as well. Now, onto the yellow faults. So these are things like, I'm looking this way because I've got them written down here. Brake light faulty, bulb failure, brake pad warning, washer fluid level low, fuel level low, battery voltage too high or too low, check oil level sensor faulty, speed warnings. Now this is a good one because a lot of people, when you're changing your clocks, if you accidentally push the button in rather than pulling it out, you can actually set a speed warning and you'll be driving, it beeps, and then you're like, oh, what is that noise? And because your display's all jumbled, it looks like all of the same icons, so you don't really know. And then you have to try and work out how to turn it off. I have personally done that on my Nagaro Blue one. It says dynamic headlight range control fault. I've never seen anyone post that that's had, and also that your boot or door is open. So, all very good things. Helpful if you can see the icon, because then you might have a chance of knowing what it might be. But they are the faults that you're likely to see. Now, of course, you've got the little icons as well. I'll stick this picture up so you can have a look at it. But it has all the different engine manager lights, ESP, immobilizer lights on, engine management light, which everyone knows what that is, along with a few other things as well. So this is a handy guide. I'll leave it on the video just so you can refer to it in the future, or if you just go onto Google and search Audi TT dash warning lights, you'll also be able to find it in the images there. So really important, that one. This is the kind of why I wanted to make a whole video. I'm just going to pull up one other thing quickly. Okay, so I've got a bit of information written down, which is kind of give you a sort of a how-to and the way you would attack if you got a red oil warning light. Now, of course, like I said, turn it off, get it to a place of safety. Then you can allow you to do a few checks. It could be a sensor. It could be something really simple, but you want to be sure that that's the case. It could be the oil pressure is actually too low. It could be your oil engine, the engine oil pump has failed, causing the pressure to be too low. It could have been the pressure switch, which is relatively easy to change. It's located on the side of the oil filter sort of cooler housing. Relatively easy to get to. A little bit fiddly, easy to take the battery out and do it. And there's a really good link, which I'll put down in the description for you to go through. And it's extensive. I'm not going to lie to you, it's extensive, but it is well worth looking through. If you've got an oil pressure light switch or an oil pressure issue, or you think you might have an oil pressure issue, or the light randomly flicks up, it tells you everything. It goes into the pressure you should have at all different times. It goes through checks what you should be seeing, voltages, all this kind of stuff, resistances. So really, someone's taken a lot of time to write that information down. So definitely worth a check. But for me, it's all about peace of mind. I like to fill my mind with all this knowledge because I have quite a few TTs, so it's helpful. But it's always nice to know the warning lights, because if you're driving, you may not be a hands-on kind of person, but if a light pops up, you want to know whether it's really important or if it's something you can get sorted. Obviously, you don't want it to be dangerous, so it's good to know. I hope you found this interesting. Let me know if you've had any oil pressure or if you've had any warning light issues in the past. I'm sure I'll see a Mexican wave of comments. I have not had the oil pressure one. I shouldn't say that, I'm going to Germany next week. But no, but I guess that's through maintenance. As soon as I buy a car, if there's no record of having that pickup pipe swapped, I will swap that, because it's just one of those. If there's no record, unless it's owned by an enthusiast, the strainer could be blocked. For £40, I'm not prepared to take that risk. So it's one of those. And I'll leave it with you. And until next time, guys, bye for now.